All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, and we're going to have a discussion this morning about something that's got everybody so utterly petrified in 2019. And it is amazing to me how no one seems to think that they can have healthy children anymore, folks. You know, it wasn't so long ago where people slept at night, they went to bed early, and you know, they talked to their neighbors, they spent time outdoors, and the children rode their bikes, and everybody in the neighborhood knew everybody. And now everybody's afraid of their own shadow. I remember growing up, nobody wore helmets when they rode their bikes, and they were outside playing ditch 'em and riding their bikes in second stage smog alerts, eating Abba-Zabbas until the street lights came on, and nobody had autism. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How come we can't have healthy kids anymore? What happened? What's going on? How do you have healthy children? Is it even possible anymore? Listen, when I grew up, all the paint cans in the garage had lead, the medicine cabinet had mercurochrome, and the Listerine had the same ingredients as the Lysol. The cars were burning lead and gas. The brake pads had asbestos linings. The sky was brown at sunset. The pipes in the home were galvanized and lead. There were asbestos overhangs at the school. People burned their trash. And everybody was an alcoholic. Everybody smoked. Everybody drank. And Coca-Cola became the mainstay instead of water. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? On my street, there was nobody that had autism. And on the street over, there was nobody that had autism. There were no autism cases growing up. What happened? Gosh, I remember Christmas mornings, and we'd be outside riding our new bikes in the Santa Ana winds under a blue sky. Everybody's laughing and smiling. We'd put the playing cards with clothespins on the rims and make it sound like a motorcycle. And oh my gosh, childhood, folks. Nobody had helmets, nobody wore sunglasses. Now look at these kids. Everybody's got glasses. Everybody's at the emergency room with ear infections. All these kids are at the autism center. Everybody's just all messed up. What happened? Well, now granted, this was back when, you know, in the 60s and 70s, in the 50s and 40s, everybody was using DDT and all these pesticides, and the gasoline was really thick and heavy, and everybody had 4-barrel carburetors with no catalytic converters, and there was all kinds of air pollution. You could smell the cars running fat at the intersection. Everybody had headers, and you know, they had these big old Holly carburetors, and there were no catalytic converters growing up, folks. Everybody was playing baseball and riding bicycles without helmets, and just hanging out, getting sunburned, and you know what the heck? What is going on now? Well, I'll tell you what's going on right now, folks. You want to have healthy children? You got to go back to basics. That means you got to get off the sugar. You know, I got this book here, 1951. You know, I love garage sales, ladies and gentlemen. And I love thrift stores because you can find things that are out of print and unavailable. And it's amazing the advice that was available. This book was written before vaccinations were widespread, folks. And everybody in the United States got measles, and hardly anybody died. You had millions of cases of measles every year in the United States. It wasn't deadly. You got a rash, you got a fever. Some cases it turned into complications if you were really sick, but the death rate from measles has not changed, folks. That's right. The death rate from measles is actually, from what I can see, has actually gone down relative to the size of the population. But yet they're hyping up this epidemic like it's some sort of cataclysmic event. Don't you remember when everybody used to get chicken pox? You remember that, folks? Do you remember that? And it was just a rite of passage, calamine lotion, a couple days watching the Twilight Zone reruns and it was over, right? Not anymore. Not anymore, because every time Johnny gets a cut, you run to the doctors. And every time he hits his head, you run to the doctors. And every time he has a headache, you run to the doctors. Every time he throws up, you run to the doctors. Every time he has a fever, you run to the doctors. And guess what the doctor does? He figures out a way to give you more frickin' drugs, okay? You know how to have healthy kids, folks? I'll tell you how to do it. Remember barefoot and pregnant? That's a good way to start. Grounding, earthing, that's a numero uno. Get your feet on the ground. Sunlight. Outside, hanging your clothes in the backyard. Remember the clotheslines, and mom would be in the backyard under the sun, not in front of the TV having a caramel frappiaki macchiato, you know, inhaling another bag of bonbons. Look, folks, you're asking for trouble if you want to keep living like a moron, all right? Now, one of the most important things people used to put in their children back in the day, back in the 40s and 30s and 50s, back in the old days, was cod liver oil, folks, because of the amount of vitamin A and vitamin D it had. Do you realize that vitamin A and vitamin D are crucial to a healthy baby, a healthy child? Well, now they don't give you cod liver oil. They give you these fake vitamins, these synthetically derived petrochemical versions of vitamins that have the wrong stoichiometric property, the wrong chirality. They're the wrong isomers of the vitamins, okay? Now, the problem is when you have, like, take for example vitamin E, folks. You can have D-alpha tocopherol, which is the natural occurring version of vitamin E, or you can have DL-alpha tocopherol, which is a synthetic version. Now, is the synthetic version absorbable and effective? It's questionable, folks. I'll tell you this. All I know is when you put something in your body and the receptor isn't there for it, you can tend to provoke an immune response, because the unknown compound with the wrong chirality, that doesn't have the right configuration, even though it may have the same number of groups on it of different atoms. The point is, you can actually make yourself sick with these fake vitamins, and that's what they're doing, folks. Who do you know that takes cod liver oil? I mean, seriously, you know what all the kids used to? I did when I was a kid. The little rascals did. My children did. Wheat germ. Anybody got any wheat germ in their house? Cod liver oil, wheat germ. How about sunlight? Who had sunglasses growing up? Anybody have sunglasses growing up? No. No, folks. Everybody was out in the sun, out in the smog, out in the rain, barefoot, riding around without helmets, you know, eating a rock salt ice cream with the machine, you know, dumping the sugar and the cream and the rock salt in there. And, you know, there's brown skies and barefoot, broken glass everywhere. We lived. We survived. These kids now are a disaster. We have the sickest, most messed up kids everywhere. Everywhere you look. That's right, folks. They are the sickest and the most mentally challenged and the most unhealthy generation that has ever been produced in human history right now. How do I know this? I've got two eyes, folks, and I could see. Everybody that I know that has children, their kids got problems. You want to know why? Because they've thrown common sense out the window, folks. Vitamin A, cod liver oil, iodine supplementation. You know, they declared war on iodine back when the Rockefeller Medicine operation got underway, because iodine was such an important component of human health and metabolic function and cellular function and mitochondrial function and a source of electrons. And instead what they've done is they've given us fluoride and bromine. They've put these brominated compounds in all of the fabrics and a lot of the flour. They use these as fire retardants on the shoes and the dresses and the couches and the carpets. And you know, they brominate the flour, they brominate vegetable oil and put it in beverages. And then they put the fluoride, just massive amounts, in the toothpaste. And there was a report released recently where the government was talking about how kids are eating too much toothpaste and getting too much fluoride in their bodies. Well, isn't that wonderful? Why can't they use something else in the toothpaste besides fluoride? You know, they could put minerals in there. But you see, folks, there's a war on iodine, and fluoride and bromine are the soldiers that are warring against the iodine. They've rolled it out. Iodine's such an important nutrient, they had to put it in the salt. Vitamin A and vitamin D is so important that they had to supplement things like the milk. And yet the sunlight is now called public enemy number 1. And you've got to have sunglasses and oil of Olay instead of Bain de Soleil. Folks, what are they doing to you? They used to put iodine in the bread. They used to put it in a lot of things, folks. You know, I got a swimming pool, and I'm in the process of converting it over to iodine from chlorine, because I have a salt cell generator in this thing, and you dump some salt in there, and it breaks. It runs it over like a platinum catalyst with a charge through it, and it breaks the chlorine ions free, and put a little stabilizer in there. But you know what? To those of you who have jacuzzis, I got news for you. That's really super bad, because all the bromine that you're putting in your jacuzzi is going right through your pores. You know, I was at a hotel over the summer with my wife and I, and a really nice hotel. Once a year I take a small vacation for a couple of days. And what happened was I sat in the jacuzzi for a little while, and lo and behold, I'll tell you, we got in the car and had to, after we left the hotel, and what happened was we started itching all over our bodies. It was unbelievable. The halide compounds, the toxic halide compounds in that jacuzzi was just unbearable. Look, folks, we lived before vaccines came out and people had healthy children. That's how our parents got here, folks, all right? Our parents got here before vaccines, all right? And they were alive when everything had lead paint on it, and DDT was all over the wallpaper. And there was diethylstilbestrol in all the animal feeds and the bacon and the milkshakes. And there was leaded gas and lead paint and asbestos brake lining falling out of the sky, folks, with all the dust from the cars and the smog. We didn't have this problem, folks. We didn't have this problem. I want to tell you something. We didn't have the regional center for all these autistic kids. We didn't have special ed as the fastest growing industry in the United States. Did you know that special education is the fastest growing industry in the United States of America? Did you know that? Yeah. Can you believe that, ladies and gentlemen? Now, we used to have children with congenital birth defects, you know, years ago, decades ago. But why is it now that like 1 out of 2 children have health problems when they're born? What have they done to you people, folks? What have they done? What have they done to you women? Well, I want to tell you something. It starts with you. And actually, it starts with the men, because you want to know something? It is the man's job to watch out for the lady, okay? Now, we got into this whole gigantic mess because this one guy wasn't keeping an eye on his lady, all right? I want to tell you something, folks. When I go on vacation with my family, one of the first things I have to do is keep an eye on my lady, all right? And there's a good reason for that. Because there's people out there that wish her harm. And there's people out there that wish her other things that I won't get into. But the point is that you got to watch out for your lady, guys. And that means not letting them go bonkers with the frosting, and while you sit there and drink your beers and fart out all your hot dogs and yell at the ball game on the TV. You need to open your eyes and realize what's ruining your children. And what is ruining your children is ruining your children with your permission. Now, most of you men are the ones that love the technology. You bring the Wi-Fi into your house. You bring all this junk food in the house. You drive the car to Costco on the weekends, and you let your wife fill that shopping cart up with all this crap, because as long as you get your beer and your bacon, you're okay. Listen! You have a duty and a responsibility, folks, to your family. You want to have healthy children? You see this? Look at this picture. I don't know if you can see this. You know what? There was so much health and happiness growing up years ago. Everybody got measles. Everybody got mumps. Everybody got swollen glands. Everybody got chicken pox. Everybody was out riding their bike with no helmet, folks. I mean, you know, And you know what it says? It said, let's cook it right. You know, nobody does what they're supposed to anymore. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because the TV has turned you into a bunch of Pavlovian pothead morons. All right? That's right. I mean, when's the last time you had a Japanese persimmon or had an apricot pie? I don't know. How about some rutabagas? How about some canned sardines? How about some sauerkraut? How about some wheat germ? How about some cod liver oil? Okay, how about some Hubbard squash? How about some real tapioca? How about some raw turnips? I mean, think about it. Black walnuts, millet, brewer's yeast. I mean, this is from the 50s, folks. What do they got us eating right now? Think about this. Taco Hell, Kentucky Fried Crab, McGarbage, Burger Booger. You know, I mean, what is this? You guys, you go to the drive-thru and you eat this disgusting garbage with all this sugar and all these hormones and all this ice cream, all this RBST and pregnancy hormones in the milkshakes and all this caramel coloring and sodium benzoate, phosphoric acid, acesulfame, potassium, and sucralose, and aspartame, and did I say sodium benzoate and high fructose corn syrup, and all these other horrible chemicals that you drink every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's like in a 30-ounce cup now. When I was a kid, a large was this big, okay? Now the small is like humongous. You guys are being destroyed by your own doing, and you're ruining your kids. How are we supposed to survive when that's the future? Here's the problem, folks. Because if they can make you all fat and stupid and sick and weak, and then they can engineer God out of you. You know, it's amazing. This book, in the very first paragraph, talks about thanking God. I mean, it's literally unbelievable. You know, you will thank God what was once called having a baby, and a feeling of security which will last throughout the lifetime. Nutrition, God, nutrition. Do you know that you can't separate the two? Did you know that most of these food companies are run by really evil, sick, disgusting, vile, pedophilic scum? That's right. Do you think people that run Pepsi or Coca-Cola are decent human beings? Think about it, folks. Think about these companies. Think about RJR Nabisco, the company that makes Oreos, the company that makes Ritz crackers, the company that makes Marlboros, the company that makes all this disgusting garbage, and the board of directors, they sit on the board of directors of the chemotherapy drug companies. And they're probably into the adrenochrome cocktail parties too. Wouldn't surprise me, folks. Listen, we got to grow up, okay? We got to stop acting like, we're 5 years old, and we got to pull up our bootstraps and take responsibility for our actions. Because here's the deal. If you screw up your kid before your kid's born, you're going to have 18 years of hell, all right? I speak from experience, folks. And, you look at the school lunch programs. I've already said that the most school district employees belong in prison because of what they're teaching the children, the abject lies, the bullshit science, the total lies, the food they feed these kids, the Wi-Fi forced irradiation in these classrooms, unbelievably, horribly hazardous environment, blacked out windows, fluorescent lighting with all kinds of horrible ballast, leaking PCBs and putting out dirty electricity. And I won't even go into the dirty electricity in the classrooms, folks. I mean, the children are being electrocuted in the classrooms. And, a lot of you teachers have the day off today because, when you work for the man, there's like fringe benefits for effing everybody up, right? You get your little discounts on your car insurance, you get lots of days off, but you've got to go to work and realize that what you're doing is the work of the devil. The schools will take a normal and healthy child and destroy them. The schools will take a normal and healthy child and turn them into a pervert. The schools will take a normal and healthy child and turn them into a depression medication customer. The schools will take a normal and healthy child and turn them into an atheistic sex maniac. The schools will take a normal and healthy child and turn him into a progressive, raging, raving, liberal lunatic. And by the time they get out of school, they think they know everything as they microwave their Hot Pocket and put all kinds of high fructose corn syrup ketchup all over their Polish sausage, right? That's what they do. And if there's any more advances in the psychology of the school graduate, he'll end up with a pack of Camels with the menthol button on it that will squirt the menthol chemical on the cigarette filter, right? This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable, folks. You know, what do? Okay, first of all, they teach you to eat crap. They got drive-thrus everywhere feeding you crap. All right, and all you women out there that spend the whole day at the gym taking your protein shakes. Do you know how all those protein shakes? Do you know the milk protein in the milk protein isolate and the soy protein isolates? Do you know what that does to you, ladies? It makes you infertile. Do you ever wonder why you can't get pregnant? You have all these hormonal problems, ladies, that spend too much time at the gym. Did you ever wonder that all of the hormones are given the cows ends up in your protein shake as you sit there and run your endocrine system into the ground on that treadmill and that stair climber, trying to get those abs that don't exist? Gosh. And how many school district employees can't get pregnant because of the Wi-Fi? Right? And so they got to adopt and increase the pressure on normal families to have social services steal their kids. That's right. This is all sick, folks. Look. You need to understand something, folks. That when you're surrounded by weaponized idiots, you got to protect yourself. All right? And that means you got to look out for your children. And that means you got to make investments in your children. And that means you can't eat yourself into a pine box before you get pregnant or while you're pregnant, folks. You got to make sacrifices for your children. All right? You got to make sacrifices and eat the right foods. And let me tell you why. Because if you eat crap, your kids are going to be nightmares. You can have healthy kids and they'll still turn into nightmares. If you have ruined kids out of the womb, they're going to be double nightmares, folks. That's right. You don't like my yelling? Well, you can go watch Ellen DeGeneres or Oprah talk about a bonbon party, or there's a frosting channel on the cable network where they got these ladies making cakes all day and licking their fingers as their arms are hanging off their shoulder. I mean, go ahead. I want to see people have healthy children. You want to know why? Because it's a right to be healthy as a child, folks. It's a right to be healthy as a child. And you want to know something? I am sick and tired of these demonic scum ruining children. I mean, faulty bone structure and allergies and autism and brain damage and all of these, it's all avoidable. And you want to know something? They lived without vaccines for thousands of years, folks. And they lived with no heater, no running water. They were dumping their sewage in the streets. They didn't wash their underwear for a month. I want to tell you something. A good friend of mine, Sophia Smallstrom, made this analogy, and I want to put a shout out to her and her website, aboutthesky.com, I believe it is. Great lady, really knowledgeable. But she said if you took a person back from like the 15th century and brought them into our society, the one thing that they wouldn't be able to stand would be the noise. And if you took someone from our society and took them and put them back in the 15th century, the one thing we wouldn't be able to stand is the smell. You see, back then, folks, people lived like pigs. They didn't shower very often. They didn't know any better. They changed their underwear once a winter. All right? They didn't have running water. Do you realize people lived without vaccines in abject squalor, with no sunlight coming in their house, with no heating? One of the biggest advances in modern history was glass windows letting the sunlight in, folks. Iodine, sunlight, cod liver oil, grounding, earthing. Shut off your Wi-Fi. Get off the sugar. Get off the couch. Shut the blue light off. Get off the bong. Get off the beers. Get off the Jack Daniels. I've had enough of my friends' lives ruined by drugs and alcohol. And enough women's lives ruined by frosting. I'm sick of it. You shouldn't be feeding your kid French fries and chicken dinos and then giving him the antifreeze colon evacuation treatment because he's constipated. That's not normal. But pediatric constipation is epidemic because of the shots and the shit you're feeding your kids. You know, I got health insurance because it's the law. Not that I'll ever go to one of these clowns unless I'm dying. But they want to get me in there. They want to stick a scope up my ass. And they want me to drink something that will kill off all my intestinal flora that has taken 52 years to develop so they can stick a camera up there when there's nothing to see. Well, you know what they give these children because they're all constipated from the vaccines and all the ferrous sulfate and all the disgusting French fries that are fried in the dimethyl siloxane sludge. It kill yourself and burger drag queen or whatever it is. They give them this antifreeze, this ethylene glycol derivative to evacuate their colons. They're giving this stuff to children so they can poop. They're ruining these kids and you're doing it too. And I'm sick of it. And you should be mad as hell. You shouldn't be sitting here thinking that this is funny. It's not funny. Learn how to fast. Learn how to say no. Learn how to say no to all this poisonous crap. I've spent the weekend with my family and friends and running different errands, and I can't believe that 99.99% of the stuff on the shelves is designed to kill you. It's designed to kill you. It's unbelievable. And by the way, all right, you think you have to eat to survive? Hey, you know what? I could grab a few inches off my stomach. We all got plenty of reserves. You know what happens when you don't eat, folks? You know what happens when you don't drink water? Your body will switch over to ketosis. It'll start burning the fat. You know what'll happen? You get your calories from the fat and it gets its own water. Seriously. Seriously, folks. Oh, they want you jacked up on sugar. They want you eating all this bread, all this sugar, all this candy. Oh, if it's not Halloween, it's Thanksgiving. If it's not Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. If it's not Christmas, it's Valentine's Day. If it's not Valentine's Day, it's Easter. If it's not Easter, it's a birthday party. If it's not a birthday party, it's a pizza party. And everything involves frosting! Frosting everywhere. I'm sick of it. It's a monster attack of frosting. And all these women that put frosting on everything, knock it off. You gotta love your ladies, guys. You gotta grab the bull by the horns and get that stuff out of the house. It's wrong, folks. It's wrong. Cancer loves sugar. Dry fasting is awesome. It's not hard to break. Well, they got cigarettes. Go to a 7-Eleven. You know, they gotta shut them all down. Candy bars and energy drinks and cigarettes and liquor. What a bunch of garbage. Everything in there, you're wasting your money on this crap to kill you. You can't have healthy children if you're a sick pig parent, okay? Seriously. All right. Now that we've said all that, what would Jesus have to say about all this? You know what? Back in the day when Jesus was walking around, these guys were walking barefoot, grounding all the day in the sun with no sunglasses. You know, they're growing their grains, picking the fruit, picking the figs, cooking the fish, drinking the milk from the goats. You know, I mean, there didn't need to be a discussion on nutrition back then. There didn't need to be discussion on nutrition back then. You know what the discussion needed to be back then? On the Molech worship and all the false religion and the horrible practices of usury and the false religion that was alive at the time Jesus walked the earth. That's right. So that's why the Bible's pretty clear. If you go through the Levitical laws and the foods to avoid and the things to do, you know, you gotta, you know, have running water and, you know, avoid things that slither around. And, you know, I'm not into eating eel, okay, and eating snakes and stuff. But the point is, folks, is that we've got a new dynamic now, and here's a couple of statements I'm going to make for you. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's a foregone conclusion, and we were fearfully and wonderfully made, knit out in our mother's womb by the hand of Almighty God, and our body's a temple of the Holy Spirit. So, because God made us, and yeah, Monster 666, folks, is totally satanic. It's in your stupid face, okay? In your face. Monster's satanic, it's in your face. we've got a situation now, ladies and gentlemen, where you got to realize that 99% of the stuff out there is designed to make you sick and kill you, because if you're sick and stupid, you can be controlled and conned. All right? What would Jesus do about all this? Well, he'd be pissed off. I know that. I know Jesus would be upset. And, you know, when God took listen to me. God took 7 days to make the heavens and the earth with a day off he took. He took 6 days to make it, a day to rest. And he took 9 months to make you and I. He took 9 months to make our children. 9 months. And you put this crap in you, you better wake up. You better wake up, folks. You want healthy kids? Starts with you. You need to boycott all of the garbage in the store, folks. If it's in a box, if it's in a can, if it's in a bottle, run away from it. That's right. You need to eat natural food, not this packaged poison. Because once you eat the packaged poison, your kids are going to be retarded. They're going to have problems. They're going to be government subjects forever. And they're going to be on medication and treatments. And they're going to need social workers and a support network and an IEP and a Wi-Fi router in the bedroom for the iPad, because they won't be able to relate to anything except for chocolate syrup and video games. Grab the hammer! It's time, folks. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. I know I'm not Alex Jones. Alex Jones has been used like a dirty rag, folks. Hit the like button, get the word out. I'm done. I can't take this anymore. It's Monday morning. Get the word out, folks. Get yourself some iodine. Get yourself some cod liver oil. Get yourself some sunlight. Get yourself some fresh air. Get yourself some happiness. Get yourself some scripture. Get yourself off of the satanic, pedophilic, scum-controlled Hollywood media and music and all their boyfriends and girlfriends that run these food companies that are killing everybody. They want to inject you with metallic nanocompounds and cancer viruses and genetic material from other species as a solution. Ladies and gentlemen, don't tread on me. And you think you're coming for my bloodstream? You got another thing coming, folks. It's time for that line in the sand, folks. It's coming. Draw it. Get ready to stand. Otherwise, forget it. You're going to lose it all. They're going to inject your kids with all this crap. All this crap. Alex Jones. Forget that guy. Don't even waste your breath on him. He's a blowhard. He's been a gatekeeper for enough time to where they now got him to where they want him, to where he can be used to destroy free speech. And they're making an example out of him. They're taking him down. Why? Why are they taking Alex Jones down, folks? Because he served them. And just like all these Illuminati sex slaves that were offed, that had their execution plan the day they accepted Satan as their savior, same thing with Alex. And it wouldn't surprise me if he disappears, because that's what they do to their own. You think you serve the devil's not going to break his terms? He's a liar and a thief and a murderer. All right, folks, you're talking to the resurrection of the truth here. And we're dealing with the truth. And we're going to deal with something right now, real quick. And that is Jesus Christ is the way and the truth and the life. And if you don't like my attitude, then go watch one of these Jerry Falwell guys that steal all your money and tell you a bunch of nonsense about how Jesus is coming back tomorrow and how there's this rapture that's going to save everybody as the North Koreans are getting run over by steamrollers and having pruning hooks stuck in their stomach as they're raised and lowered over cauldrons to renounce their faith in Jesus Christ. And over here we can, eat 300 pounds of frosting and cheeseburgers and nothing bad ever happens to us, like a Danny Elfman song. You folks are deluded.